We're here today with As We Know It, and we're at the Carolina Cheese Company in Wilson with Joel Killion. How you doing? For the Tea Party, we wanted to interview you and ask some questions so that we can understand for the general public exactly some more about the movement that's kind of taken over America right now. First off, I wanted to ask you, what are the fundamental issues that your party is fighting for this election?
Well, for the record, we are not a political party. The name Tea Party, as you know, comes from the event that took place over 200 years ago in our nation's history, that of reducing size of government, taxation. That in the Declaration of Independence, which I have a copy right here, there are 27 issues that the colonists confront King George on. And it's much more than just taxation with that representation. So what we want to see is government be reduced to its constitutional limits. We want to see spending cut. We want government to do what I have to do, what you have to do, what anybody has to do in their private budget. I have an Excel spreadsheet at home, and I have what I bring in my income, what my wife and I bring in, and what we spend in our expenses. We have a large food expense because we have 4 daughters. So, we've got that. And guess what? We cannot spend more than we make. It's common sense.
We're looking at everything. We want to bring it back. Why are these elections, with this congressional election, why is it important to everyday people? Why should everyone pay attention to this?
It's our future. It's our future. I mean, we can't get away from the fact that we are a republic. We are not a democracy. In a democracy, people vote specifically for issues. We are voting for a representative government who will go up there and represent us. Now, if people don't care about who represents them, it's because they've not been educated. They've never read this document, obviously, and they need to be. And I believe that one of the failures does squarely lie with the educational system, the public school educational system. They are not educating kids in the Constitution of the United States, which clearly states the structure of how we will keep this thing going, keep it well oiled. I have a lot of young people that I talk to, and they just have no clue how important this is. I'm 31. I've always loved politics. I'm a news junkie. I live off of the news, but it is something that kids don't often think about. Young people don't often think about that their future is really it's at stake here. There's a lot at stake, and I think a lot of it comes down to we take freedom for granted. We think we want to be like Europe. The mainstream liberal media and bent in the political system, the progressive bent, wants us to be like Europe. It's not working. What they're doing is not working. You think about rioting in the streets. I think Britain just laid off 500,000 state employees. They cannot sustain their spending. Their welfare state is crumbling. And we've got kids who are going to inherit this ship of state. And it's going to be going down in flames if they don't decide, I need to read. It's a powerful thing. Reading is a powerful thing. Paying attention to history is a powerful thing. And I don't know if you ever saw it was an old Disney movie about this young kid who didn't care about politics. It was during colonial America. And he didn't care. And it was an old Disney movie. And the Boston Tea Party took place in the course of this movie, and he saw what was going on. And by the end of the movie, he became a leader in the Tea Party movement in early America. That's what's going on right now. We've got a lot of kids that they just don't care. But at some point, whether they like it or not, they're going to have to wake up. The younger generation, those who are really embedded into the universities and into the colleges that have a liberal bent, they can believe whatever they want. All those students over at Berkeley, they can believe whatever they want about history. At some point, reality is going to hit them. And they're going to realize, like our business owner here who owns this business, that you cannot continue to spend more than you make. You cannot continue to make everybody happy when you don't have the money. We got to expand the welfare state. All good intentions, but charity is a voluntary choice. It should never be legislated or regulated by the government. This redistribution of wealth, it's going to kill the next generation. The young people need to understand the difference between Marxism, which is, as he quoted, and telling this to kids is amazing. Take from each according to his ability, to each according to his need. A direct quote from Marx. That's not going to work. And so teaching our kids this in school, using play money. Talk about, you got the school systems right now where they've got kids up in Raleigh in the Wake County schools where parents bring, this is a great tool for kids to learn. Parents bring all the school supplies for a school year to a pot. They just bring it for a classroom, they bring it all together, and then they evenly distribute it amongst all the students. It didn't matter that the mama made the money to pay for those school supplies to put in the pot for their kid, by the way. But tell little Johnny, no, you can't. You have to share. Well, I don't want to share. Well, that should be his choice. I don't teach my kids to share. I teach them it's your choice. If Mariah, my oldest daughter, if you don't want to share with Olivia, one of my twins, you don't have to. It's your choice. We lie to our kids. We tell them you have to share. Now share, Johnny, share. But when you get older, you don't have to share your Benz or your BMW or your house. No, that's a choice. That's still a choice. So I think we should begin early on, teaching them, telling them why it's important to pay attention to what's going on in our country. Tell them what's going on in other countries. Tell them where it's not working. And explain it to them in a way that they can understand. When they can begin to use that logic, they can do revolutionary things. That's why I think, and I was homeschooled for 11 years.
I was too. I actually homeschooled my entire...
Really? The benefits are incredible. I think people who tend to have that personal, at their own pace, kind of education, they tend to absorb common sense better. Because mom and dad understand common sense. They're not a teacher who's teaching a curriculum for EOGs and EOCs. We've just got moms and dads who are helping out. Well, my mom and dad, we used Monopoly. You've got Robert Kiyosaki's game, The Rat Race. Robert Kiyosaki is teaching kids about money. If kids can learn about money, they can understand why this should really anger us, what's going on in our country. Can you continue to spend $10 when you only have $5? No. It's simple. And this is really what it comes down to. I'm not concerned about the whole abortion issue and all these other issues that are moral. That's going to take care of itself later. Right now, let's keep our ship of state alive. Let's keep it in this. The Titanic's going down, and we're sitting here. People want to talk about abortion and same-sex marriage. Okay, fine, but let's get some buoys out. So we don't drown and get eaten by the sharks.
That's perfectly odd. But many times the question of religion comes or seems to come in direct conflict with the First Amendment, and the First Amendment sometimes seems to come in conflict with what's on the dollar bill.
Right.
Which one wins? And well, let's start with there. Which one wins on that?
Well, obviously we are a Christian nation. We can rewrite history to say something different. That's fine. People can do that, and again, we have the freedom to do that. But as John Adams said, facts are stubborn things. We can't get away from the fact that we were founded as a Christian nation. Now, yes, we had Benjamin Franklin and Thomas Jefferson, who were, people say were deists. They were deists. But a deist back then is not a deist like they are today. Totally different. Just like a Mason back then was totally different than a Mason is today. But people tend not to remember that we're talking about 200 years of change here. Things do change in 200 years. But yes, what wins that is that we are a Christian nation. The documents speak it very clearly. Our founders believed it. Our history is full of it. And we were a nation that was really a miracle. If you read what the founders talked about regarding the Constitution, they said it was a miraculous document because it's based upon the principles of the Scriptures, the Holy Scriptures. Now, it's not. I don't believe in manifest destiny. I don't believe that these guys were on a mission and we're going to fulfill it for God, we're going to do it for the kingdom of God. No, I don't believe that. But they did believe that the hand of providence was involved. And that's a very different thing. And I believe that the hand of providence has been at work the whole time in whatever nation or whatever individual or group has chosen to let that happen. So that's, I don't know if that answers your question. But
are there anything else that, aside from this congressional election, that not your parties, but the ideology, that
movement.
Yeah, the movement, long-term goals?
Education, education, education. We're telling people, read the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States.
And where can they get one?
Oh, this came from the Heritage Foundation, but they send these to you for free, and you can actually, and also the North Carolina, whatever state constitution you have, you should read it. Understand what the law is. These are laws that men's blood was shed to provide, and it's been shed ever since to maintain. And this is the highest law of the land, trumps every law. And when government's trying to force something down our throats, we should have a filter for saying, that's not right. That's not what our founders intended. I tell people the Declaration of Independence deals with the heart. The Constitution deals with the skeleton. It provides a structure, a framework to implement and apply the heart of our country, which is the Declaration. And, get that, learn it. Also, read books like The 5,000-Year Leap. Read the founders. I read a book about the American history. It's 800 pages long. I'm still working on I'm reading through it a second time. I'm still working through that. It takes a long time. But we're seeing a revolution in the mind and the heart. Not a bloody revolution, but a bloodless, philosophical revolution. We're seeing people reading these books. There's a book called Sacred Fire. It's about the life of George Washington, in his own words. It was on the top-selling list, the best-selling list on Amazon for months. We've got books out there that people are buying. We're talking about Americans who want the Reader's Digest version for everything. There's a passion for understanding, a passion for learning. We've got to restore a passion for learning, a passion for education, and learning what our founders intended, their original intent, not what the liberal colleges and the liberal universities, these people that have these alternative agendas to rewrite history intend. We've got to go beyond that and really study especially the founding documents in their original words. Study original documents. Study the letters between Jefferson and John Adams. Study the letters between Abigail and John Adams. Study original documents. Stay away from commentary. You know what I'm saying? That's where you get people bringing in their own personal opinion.
So go to the source.
Go to the source.
Absolutely.
And so that's what our focus is as the Wilson NCT Party. Now, I will say this: as a movement, we're not all identical. You can't pigeonhole us. You can't say, well, all the Tea Parties and all the individual counties and states are all identical. No, we're not. We got different demographics. We've got a different set of beliefs. We've got different issues in different counties. We've got our own issues in Wilson. We've got to confront. That's why we got involved in the sheriff's election. There's certain things we've got to stand up for. But each individual Tea Party group has its own, general agenda, which agrees with the whole. But then specifically, it's got its own issues too. So as the Wilson NCT Party, our issue is education, staying involved in the community, helping out our neighbors where we can, voluntarily, not regulated by the government, speaking the truth, quoting original documents, getting people interested in learning. That's one thing. We perish for lack of knowledge, as the great prophet used to say in the Old Testament. We perish for a lack of knowledge. We've got to learn.
Well, thank you very much. Once again, we're here with Joel Killion and with the Wilson Tea Party, and he's shared a lot of knowledge with us. We'd like to thank you for having us and talking with us.
Thank you for the opportunity.
All right, thanks.